So I flew in from San Francisco yesterday, and first thing I did when I landed was I wanted to check ChatGPT. I was like, how do I get to the hotel? Or how can I convert some USD to euros? And it was banned, which I knew it was, but I was curious. I was like, what does that mean? What does that look like? So this is what I saw. But luckily for all of you, I have a workaround. Thank you for coming to build your own ChatGPT over WhatsApp. You can also do SMS, text messages, with the OpenAI API. The API is not banned. I saw on Reddit. Well, I couldn't test it because I wasn't here in Italy. But Reddit said it's not banned, so you can use the API to build this. Yeah. Okay. As ChatGPT said, I'm Lizzie. I'm a developer evangelist at Twilio. Been here since 2017. Long time. And I'm just a general developer. I mainly do JavaScript and Python now. Not really Haskell and Swift anymore. But I gained an interest in machine learning a few years ago, worked with TensorFlow, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, lots of AI technologies. So I just wanted to share what I learned. And thank you to the organizers. A great event. Okay. Question time. Who here has used ChatGPT? I'm curious because it's banned, but there are workarounds. Hey. Has anyone asked any good prompts? So prompt engineering is a new field. It's a budding job, task industry, where you discover what inputs yield better results, better answers. I've had ChatGPT generate some legal stuff for a meetup I organize. Is it correct? I think it is. It works. I'm not very legal. Oh, no, I don't do much with law, I guess. I'm just a developer. Evangelist. Okay. Agenda for the day. We're going to go over some AI introductions, some vocabulary, very fun, like back to school. Introduction to OpenAI, the company, what you can do with it, their API. And then we're going to go over how to build the project. Build ChatGPT over WhatsApp, SMS, with Twilio serverless and JavaScript. Woo. Okay. And I'd just like to start off with this meme, because a programmer's like, is this AI looking at conditionals? And it's like, no, it is not AI. Gonna leave it on for some pictures. I see people, okay, pictures, okay. No, you can think of AI as the capability of machines to simulate human intellect, human behavior. Sometimes people say intelligent human behavior, but that's up for debate, I guess. What is intelligent human behavior sometimes? Okay. So, what is an ML model? It's a program that is trained using a previously unseen to the model data set to find patterns and make decisions. So it gets better over time. And in natural language processing, or NLP, that can look like a model parsing and correctly categorizing sentiment or some classification into some category. For image recognition, the model could be like, this image is a car or pizza, hence the pictures. Neural networks. Like our brain that is formed of a network of neurons, neural networks are based on connected nodes, technically known as artificial neurons. Their job, you ask? To identify hidden correlations and patterns and raw data, and they continuously improve. They rely on training data to get better. You can train a neural network to perform tasks like sentiment analysis, and they're at the heart of deep learning algorithms. A neural network arranges algorithms in such a manner that it can make reliable decisions on its own. And an ML model makes decisions based on what it's learned from the data. As a result, while ML models may learn from the data, they may need more human interaction in the early stages. Some of the most well-known neural neural networks are the Google search algorithms. Fun fact. Okay. Weak AI, also known as narrow AI, is more focused on a narrow subset, a narrow area. Weak AI simulates human cognition, so it focuses on automating specific tasks. Examples include chatbots, Alexa, Cortana, Siri, self-driving cars. And I take great pride in knowing that I could beat Deep Blue. All of you could beat Deep Blue at checkers. Deep Blue is the bot that can beat chess grandmasters. Not very often, but it did. Sometimes. So it's very narrow, because it's just chess. You may have heard of AGI. That's been coming up recently with ChatGPT and OpenAI. And artificial general intelligence, or strong AI, is AI that matches human intellect. And it can perform a variety of tasks. So not just chess, not just checkers. And like a child, it learns through repetition and experiences, progressing and getting better. Some examples of AGI include C-3PO, WALL-E, and I guess some sci-fi. Okay. Anyone think ChatGPT is AGI? Anyone? Okay. At the last conference I was at, some people raised their hands, and one person argued with me. It is not. It is pretty impressive, but it's still a limited memory AI system. It's unique from other chatbots in that it can recall previous conversations to update its current output, but it's still limited to a single medium, chat, and it kind of lacks insight. It lacks depth. It doesn't really truly understand the meaning behind what you're asking and what it's saying, because it just pulls from what it's been trained on, like Google, a lot of Google results. Transfer learning occurs when we use knowledge that we used from solving one problem to solve a related problem. For example, if you train a model to recognize pizza, you can also train it to recognize a calzone. Very hungry, it's almost lunch. Almost there, almost there. Okay, OpenAI. OpenAI is a research and deployment company. It differs from other AI companies in that they to promote and develop friendly AGI. What does that mean? Friendly AGI would improve the human condition. It would have a positive effect on humanity, which those are pretty lofty goals. But I aspire to that. I hope they do that. Okay. They've created ChatGPT and the very well-known language models, GPT-3 and GPT-4. And those models are trained on Wikipedia, a dictionary, news articles, and scientific articles. So, you know, it's probably accurate, usually. They also have the DALL-E model, which can generate images based on text. This is ChatGPT in the browser. It uses the GPT-3 NLP model trained on human-generated text. Given some textual input, it can generate its own human-like text in a variety of languages and styles. Okay. Anyone know what it stands for? Generative Pre-Training Transformer 3, which it's a transformer architecture. This multi-layer neural network is good for processing sequential data, like text. Language-related tasks it can perform include question answering, summarization, translation, and the like, and text generation, of course. Okay. OpenAI's API lets you use their AI models, their data, with minimal lines of code, because we are lazy as developers. You can interact with the API through HTTP requests in any language, the official Node.js library, Python bindings, and a community-maintained library to generate text, perform image generation, and more. Lots to do. And they're constantly iterating. They just came out with the GPT-4 model. You can get on the waitlist for that API. And GPT-4 is supposed to be more creative, more nuanced, more reliable and accurate. We'll see about that. It can analyze and comment on images and graphics. So it can identify trends in graphs. If you have an image you want to post to Instagram, I could caption that, what is good for content creation. Woo. Okay. Some features. The OpenAI API provides access to a range of pre-trained models that can be used out of the box for tasks like language translation, sentiment analysis, and image recognition. It also allows engineers to customize, improve, and fine-tune its models. So you can add your own training data to a model to make it better, train it for different tasks, and customize it. And this is where, like APIs, you can get stuff done faster, because APIs do more for you. They provide some backend, I guess. And they host it on a scalable infrastructure that can handle large volumes of data and traffic, ensuring that AI apps built using the API can scale as needed. Some examples of companies using the API: GitHub Copilot, AI pair programmer, suggests code and generates whole functions for you in real time, right from your browser or editor. And Duolingo uses GPT-3 to correct French grammar. An internal Duolingo study did show that this led to better second language writing skills. And there's another API, embeddings, that converts language to numbers, because models, like computers, read numbers, where humans read letters, words. Okay. Pricing. This is an interesting pricing model. The OpenAI API does have a free tier, but their pricing is based on something called tokens, which you can think of as kind of like syllables, which I think is kind of unfair because some different languages, like I think German, words tend to have more syllables. So guess what? If you're translating to German or doing things in German, you're probably going to pay more. I guess like always in beta, hopefully that will not be the case going forward. Okay. While the OpenAI API does offer a wide range of models and opportunities and tools, it is important to note that there are limitations. One of the main limitations is the size of the data that can be processed. The API is optimized for processing relatively small amounts of data, so it may not be suitable for applications that require processing larger data sets. And if you work with data, you know that there are some pretty large data sets, very large. And another limitation is that the API is designed for use cases that can be addressed by pre-trained or fine-tuned models. If you need a completely new custom model from scratch, you may need to use a different AI platform or build your own infrastructure. Fine-tuning. So you can fine-tune your models, and this is a process that uses transfer learning. It takes a model that has already been trained for one task, and then I guess you modify it. You tweak the model to perform a second similar task. Assuming that the new task is similar to the old one, it uses a neural network that's been trained, already been trained, so it saves you time. You can take advantage of what the model has already learned without having to develop it from scratch. And this also saves you money because you use shorter prompts. And fine-tuning is currently only available for the original models, DaVinci, Curie, Babbage, because they don't have any instruction once they're already trained. Now, to get started with the API, you do need an API key. And here's the console at platform.openai.com, which is not banned. API is not banned, so I guess like governments are behind on developers. I'm not sure. Okay. So this is the completions endpoint, which can be used directly in your apps and products. You can put some text as a prompt, and the model will generate a text completion that attempts to match whatever content or pattern you gave it, you fed it. So here I gave it, as Descartes said, I think, therefore, and it returned, I am. There it is, a lot of text. This curl request to the API, using my API key, hidden, sets the max token of the prompt, and the max token is the length of the completion of the generated text. Prompt tokens are the tokens used for the prompt, and completion tokens are used to return the output. And total tokens is the sum of both, which makes sense, because complete. Okay. So how about we do this via WhatsApp? Twilio provides APIs for communication, So you can add WhatsApp communication, text message communication into your apps in a variety of programming languages. And they also offer a serverless tool. And this is what it will look like in WhatsApp. And I use VS Code for the completions endpoint that we saw earlier via curl request. The serverless toolkit is CLI tooling that helps you develop Twilio serverless functions locally, and then you can deploy them. And you can, Phil, you know. Very handy tool for serverless, because why host your own server if companies will do it for you? Google does the same. I'm going to plug Google and the rest. Okay. And these are the commands to install the Twilio serverless toolkit. Woo. And then we create a new Twilio serverless project with our lone dependency, the OpenAI module. Who would have thought? Okay. And then we have our .env file in the root folder of our directory. Keep your API key hidden. I have a friend I used to intern with who would like stalk my GitHub, and he'd be like, Lizzie, you published your credentials to the web. And I was like, Kevin, get a life. But also, don't publish these to the web. Use environment variables. And in the JavaScript code, we can access the API key with context.openai API key. Okay. Now we're going to, does that show up? Okay. There were Wi-Fi issues. I'm not going to live code, but here is the code. How do I make this bigger? Okay. Okay. We import OpenAI and create our Twilio serverless function. We get the inbound message with event.capital-body converted to lowercase, treatment for trailing white space to compare messages. Create our configuration object with our unique to us OpenAI API key. And then we create a response that we're going to generate text from. And that's the completed text by calling the createCompletion method on our OpenAI object. And we pass it, there are two required parameters. Model, here we use text DaVinci 3. DaVinci is the most capable OpenAI model. It's also the most expensive because it's the most capable, I guess. And because of this, it does take more time than other models, but it's the one that ChatGPT uses. And prompt is the other required parameter. And that takes the inbound message to WhatsApp that we want to generate text from. So you could be like, give me a haiku about JavaScript, what's the best API, suggest me something, and that would be the inbound message or the prompt. Temperature is an optional parameter, but it's often recommended. Temperature has to do with randomness. It's a number between 0 and 2, and the higher the number for temperature, the more random the output, the generated text is. This is riskier. This is the model being greedy and kind of like taking a risk, taking chances. And max tokens is the length of the output of the generated text. So if you wanted like a short output, you could limit it to the number. I think it's tokens, kind of like syllables. And frequency penalty is how much repetition is in the output. It's a number between -2 and 2. How much repetition do you want? I think 0.7 was in the docs. Use the docs. And that is also an optional parameter. So the only two required parameters are model and prompt. Let's see now. Okay. 2. Okay. Go back. Okay. And here we deploy a Twilio serverless function with the Twilio serverless deploy command. And that gives us a public-facing URL. You can hit this in Postman. You can access it on the web. And with this URL, we can configure a Twilio phone number or WhatsApp number. And the WhatsApp configuration takes time, but for the most part, this is where you put in that URL. When an incoming message comes in via WhatsApp, WhatsApp makes an HTTP request to Twilio, and Twilio responds with the code we ran, the serverless function. Now, if you get out your phones, you can WhatsApp this number. And I'm going to do it to make sure it works. But it should. The number is +1. I guess WhatsApp. 844-431-4315. Again. How do I get that? That is 844-431-4315. We're in Italy, so I keep on asking more Italian based prompts. Never been here. Very excited to be here. Lovely country. Lovely country. I ask it to write me a song. I think that's one of the best parts of ChatGPT is the creativity aspect. I mean, you could ask it like for directions, but you have Google for that. So the creativity aspect, I think, is more unique. What's next? There's the DALL-E API, so you can like text in and get a generated image based on the prompt. I do like Pikachu and biking and boba, hence those generated images. You can use different models. Again, the DaVinci one is the most capable one, but there are other models as well. Ada is the cheapest. It's also the fastest. It uses less CPU, so it's faster, so it's cheaper. There's also Babbage. They're, programming heroes' names. It's fun for programming history. Okay. Next. What's next? OpenAI documentation, which I'm honestly not the biggest fan of. I think it can be hard to get around. So I do prefer the playground, which is where you can test your own. You can play around with the parameters. You saw how you can edit temperature, frequency. Why do that via curl request or different API commands in your code when you can do that in the browser? Okay. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of the OpenAI docs, but there are some pretty good tutorials on Medium towards data science, towards AI. And there's tutorials and different introductions to AI in general. Oh. Next, other libraries. I do think TensorFlow has a higher learning curve, steeper learning curve. There's a lot of vocabulary, a lot of machine learning words that they kind of expect you to understand, but there are dictionaries and different glossaries. IBM Watson, Google Cloud, a lot of these APIs and tools, they do more of the work on the back end for you. So there's less customization, but you don't need to understand as much. They abstract it away. Except Azure, fine-tune models. You can upload your own data, have fun with that. It should be clean data. And then use those fine-tuned models. Okay. Thank you for your time. The slides are on the QR code. Okay.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from people in the audience? I have a question myself then. So how do you feel about people wanting to pause AI research?
I did study computer science at a liberal arts college, and I do think engineers would do well to study more humanities courses and ethics. I do think there are some ethical implications of the AI work. Like, who is to blame if a self-driving car injures someone? Which has not, I think there was a study in San Francisco where self-driving cars actually get into fewer accidents. That being said, there are some. I don't know if I think it should be halted. I think it should be regulated more because people can get hurt. And some of the generated text, I think, isn't legal. not just like in ChatGPT in Italy and other European countries, but the use cases people are using it for.
I also feel like ChatGPT sometimes is very confidently incorrect, and that doesn't help.
Yeah.
Any questions? There's one over there.
Oh, there's a camera there. Do you see in the sort of short term a sort of business use case for this where people are going to interact with that text and a company's going to just let it? Because I guess the thing that I feel right now is sort of holding it back is, as we said, that the confident incorrectness. I feel like a customer support team would panic and have to double check almost every response. Do you see some sort of like public release under a brand of a company where this could take over and or sort of offer some sort of functionality where it is now? Like you could deploy it and maybe go, and this is it. That isn't private use, but a public offering. Like a company messes up and then they generate an apology. ChatGPT just now is like you go on as a private user and you chat with the thing there and you're using it knowing what it is. But I mean, if someone was to integrate with this and offer some sort of conversational service with it, but that's obviously not under the control of that company anymore because they're leaning on the API. Yeah. Do you see something right now where that you think that could fit in quite well, or is it maybe something that still needs the future? I think there's not much accountability with this. So I think there should be more accountability either from the makers, like OpenAI. I don't want to say the developers who built it. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I think accountability is big. If a human doesn't generate it, who's to blame? Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Any other questions? I don't see anything. Right, thank you so much.